Good morning. Right, for context, it's the 3rd of July. This is the morning of the proposed live stream tonight at 7 o'clock. So you'll see the live stream before this. I'll chuck this out in the week. Gaydon is next Sunday, so a week today. I will be probably there by now. So it's preparation day, looking over Agatha. I'm standing in the garage now where I've just pushed her out. In my shame, it hasn't moved a wheel since the Enfield show, but that's always the way. I'm camping in the van. That was primarily my hobby before the car came. It's not going to change, but the car's not going anywhere. It just means it doesn't get used as much as I'd like, unfortunately. So there's a few little jobs to do. On the video of Enfield that Alex from Alex's Assets filmed, she noticed that one of the indicator and side light lenses was full of water. I took them off, you know, a few days after that, and they've been off since in the garage. It's been drying out. I've got a couple of spare lenses, and while they're off, I'm going to try and make sort of the best amount of seals and lenses out of what I've got. I'm going to check and replace petrol pipes as required. I've got a new petrol filter. Obviously the pipes and the filter have been on since I got the car. I changed them all, so it's only done about 2,000 miles, maybe not even that since then. But I'm wary that at the moment the car's got half a tank of E10 in it, which I ran down to Enfield. No issues with the running, but obviously slightly bothered about the scare stories of you know, corrosion and pipe rotting. So I'm going to take off one of the easy accessible pipes first in the engine bay and see if there's any splitting or whatever. This is why Agatha takes ages to start when it's sat for a while. You can see the fuel filter is absolutely just bone dry there. It obviously drains back, so it always has to prime. I'm gonna, because I've got the filter, I've got a brand new filter, I'm going to change the filter and see the condition of that pipe, because I'm going to change the filter whatever. I've got the fuel pipe cable tied up there to the speedo cable to keep the filter from dangling. Right, so that filter off. Right. Yeah, so as we see, no fuel at all. This is actually new pipe, although it's been in stock since I did that. It's just the rest of that. However, might as well use it. I don't see an issue. Got a new filter there, so I'll replicate this setup now. You'll see on the one I made previously, it's stepped for 6mm and then 8mm, and I just stopped at the step there. There's a natural step in that one. With the new one, it was still stepped. However, there wasn't a notch in it to stop it, so I've actually gone all the way on, lubricated the pipe a bit with some lead substitute that I'd got left over, just to get it all the way on. I think that's going to be a bit safer. There you go. Right, so close-up investigation. This is the pipe, as you can see. Usually when you've seen people change these, you see a lot of cracking in the ends there. I would have no worries in actually leaving this on if I hadn't have got the pipe, to be fair. Although the filter, it isn't filthy, but you can see there's a bit of crud in there, look. So we've made it up. These pipes are still a bit long. I'll cut them off when I get it located. There's no arrow on this to show fuel flow direction, but because the other one was arrowed that way, I'm just going to follow the same sort of configuration. You can see it was like that. and the arrow shows fuel flow there. So this one is going to go onto the pump and this to the carb. So we've got the new pipe as is. I'm going to cable tie that back up to the speedo cable just to stop it rubbing, and but I haven't cut any length off. It's perhaps okay, and yeah, we'll do that piece there then. So next section, there's a short section there, look, from input of the pipe to, if you look there by the hydrogas filler, point that out to you, that's where you fill the fluid. Jubilee clip just underneath there. Short section of pipe that looks like it's obviously thicker, 8mm I'd imagine, and we'll have that off. We might as well. A little bit of rust there because it meets a metal pipe, it's gone now, but absolutely no issues with that pipe whatsoever. Yeah, maybe a slight tiny crack there, do you think? But certainly I don't think there's any structural issues with it. If you look at the pipe, you can bend it, there's no cracking. It's the wider bore part, this is 5/16, so close to 8mm. This is a lot more flexible than the thinner pipe was, but I guess that's just because the pipe's thinner. So again, could have probably left that. So again, we've got a new section of pipe. It has the same, it was off this one. So I'm going to cut a section of that, and then I will still have enough to do the tank outlet. There we go then, so that's all on. Put the air filter back on now. I've already checked the oil level. As I say, I'm doing basic maintenance before Gaydon. It was on the minimum, but I guess I'd done 250 miles to Enfield and back, all motorway, so it's going to have burnt a bit. And also there is a tiny leak, so it's dripped a bit in the garage over the last couple of months. So I've added about, I don't know, 1/4 of a litre, and we're good on the stick. You can see the oil there. This oil has actually been in for 2 years now. I changed this oil when I first got the car. It's that clean, I'm loath to change it again just for the sake of it, but I think maybe I should. I know they say not to leave oil in, but that's obviously if you're doing short journeys in the cold. With it sitting there in the block and being that clean, I think it's a waste. But maybe I will drop it after the Gaydon run, and then all I've done, I've checked my water, my expansion, brake fluid's good. I'm not going to mess with anything ignition wise. I'm a firm believer of if it's running, leave it alone. I've still got a new set of spark plugs which I haven't fitted. However, kiss of death here, but car ran perfectly to Enfield and back, no issues. So I have learnt from Lee, don't mess with them if they're running okay. I'll check my pot oil now while we're here, but I can tell already that's, could perhaps do with a bit in, but there's plenty of suction there. I've started using automatic transmission fluid in there. It's a bit thinner than I was putting 2050 in. I know people are going to say, oh, you shouldn't do this, it's just oil. So I might put a little bit in that. Clutch is good. My engine bay, this is why I never open the engine at shows. I'm not really interested in clean engine bays. I'd like it, but you know, meh. There's quite a bit of fuel in the car, so this is going to be shit or bust, I'm afraid. I've got a bucket. I'm going to cut the pipe to length quickly and hope to hell I can jab it on before too much goes on the floor. At least it'll evaporate, won't it? Right, new pipe cut, bolt in the end so at least I can stop it flowing, and pull the Jubilee clips off. I know you'd love me to set a tripod up or mess about. I'm not going to give you that satisfaction. I can lie and say it went magnificently, can't I? Right, so if you can see, first half fairly successful. Obviously fuel came out, but within seconds I'd got it blocked up. Take that end off now, Jubilee clip this end up, and then obviously petrol will come out again as I fight it on that end. Okay, not gonna lie, it went well. I lost minimal petrol until, viewers, coming out I knocked the bucket over. So the little bit I actually lost, which is minimal, ended up on the floor and all over my shoulder. Hey ho. So yeah, that pipe again, no cracking to sort of speak of there. And this was obviously always full of petrol. So I don't know, ethanol based petrol scare stories, maybe. Certainly, you know, a couple of years worth of use, albeit not very much. It's still always had fuel in it. Certainly the front half has been saved by the fact that the car drains back, but this will have always had petrol in it. And what I shall do now is cut through that as an experiment to see what the inside's like. There we go, just cut that in half, and as you can see, that's like new. There's no cracking in there. If anything, I'd envisage the damage is done by the ends being open to the atmosphere and the petrol pipe clamp actually splaying it out. But yeah, you look at that. There you go. Nothing wrong with that, mate. So peace of mind has been good that I've changed all the fuel pipes, but I don't think there was any need. Right, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to connect the battery back up. I'm going to leave the air filter off for a moment, just so I can check all the fuel lines for leaks. I'll be able to see easier. The car will take ages to start because obviously there's no fuel in any of the lines bar the little part from the tank to where gravity's feeding it, I guess, now down to the front here, obviously. So it's got to prime the carb and the pump. Okay, battery's on. I'm going to go and crank it now. Obviously this is bearing in mind last time it had sat for a while, the bloody starter motor had stuck, hadn't it? Anyway, let's see. It's on about half choke at the minute. I'll just check my pipes now. Yeah, knock it off, we have a leak. Right, I've enlisted the help of Heather. Just point that down there. This Jubilee clip wasn't tight. The others are, so maybe I just got distracted. I mean, it was tight, but I could spin it slightly. I've now tightened that up as tight as I can, cleaned all this off. I'll restart the car, but Heather's going to film it as I start it, just to see if it leaks.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks dry now. It was pouring out of here, to be honest. I think I just got waylaid. The dangerous thing is, with your fuel lines in these cars, there's your exhaust manifold and your exhaust downpipe there, with the carb straight above it. One of these pipes goes, or your filter goes, you can see how these cars can go up instantaneously. It's crazy, really. But I do carry a fire extinguisher, but you'd have to be bloody quick, wouldn't you? So that looks dry. I'm going to keep ticking over. I'm just going to wipe that fuel pump off Maybe a bit wet there. I'm going to put some brake cleaner on that. We'll let that evaporate off, and we'll start her again and see if we've got any leaks. Right, so while the brake cleaner has been drying off, I've just been under the back of the car and double checked the hoses there. Obviously they're not under pressure anyway, they're gravity fed, they're all dry. I've now cleaned and dried that completely. I'm going to start it again now, and I'll know 100% definitely if it's wet in a minute. Right, the car's been running a while I'm just fighting about with the lights, just basically checking everything was working, and picking out the best ones of those. If I quickly grab the light, yeah, we're definitely as dry as a bone while it's running, and obviously it's under pressure while it's running. Although it's only a mechanical lift pump, there's not going to be a massive amount of pressure. It's certainly not leaking. I'm going to turn it off now and just see if for some reason when it bleeds back it starts dripping from somewhere, I guess. Yeah, that's dry at the moment. I'll come back in a second. So I've only got 2 driver side ones anyway. This one is faded to death, so that's discounted. I've got to use that one. I've got 3 passenger side ones. They're all the same brand. That's got a crack in it and that's faded, so it discounts them. So there's the pair that are going on the car. Right, so the other side's on. Nothing to report there. This side, however, the screw is not biting in there, so I imagine the threads have gone in there, which is why this one was filling with water. So I'm gonna, obviously I've got another light unit, but I genuinely cannot be asked to get under all the wing just to change that. If I can get maybe a longer screw first and see if it'll bite, that will save the bother. I've got my box of bolts out. I used to have loads and loads of bolts, and when I moved house I just threw a load away. It's nice to have them, but space wise. Success. We have the same thread and pitch. It is a crosshead. It's slightly thinner, but you'll never see that. However, it's too long, so I'm now going to cut that. There we go. Cut down a bit longer than the standards. I've got a rubber washer that side and a metal one that side. There you go. That's tight. That's tight. That's tight, and it's now pinching the rubber all the way around. Before, as I say, this was loose, so water would get in there. So I think that job's successful. Back to the petrol pump. It's now sat for a while and it's bone dry. I'm gonna put it back in the garage for now because I've got so much to do this afternoon anyway. Next Saturday I'll actually get it out because I've got to move the van anyway next Saturday. I'm going to do a bit of stuff on the van, so we'll get the car out next Saturday, plan to go for a drive and fill a can with fuel, etc. And then, yeah, fans just kicked in. All good, all good. What we got, temperature gauge in the middle. I've got over a half a tank of fuel. 34,754 for my reference for the fuel lines. Right, so I'm going to wrap this one up here. As I say, as this video is recorded, I've got that live with Lee tonight, so I hope you enjoyed that. I hope nothing went wrong, obviously, because it hasn't happened yet. And the next video after this will probably be Gaydon itself, I guess. What I might do at Gaydon, we'll see if I've got connection. I may do a bit of an impromptu live walking around Gaydon, but obviously I won't be able to read any of the comments. It'll be really just to show you maybe how many Allegros have turned up on the day for a quick 2 or 3 minutes. We'll see. Don't hold me to that. Latest peeps. Bye bye.